Hello and welcome to Automate Code. Thank you for watching our video and joining our classes. In this video, we are going to discuss about uh, some database topics. So we have chosen to discuss primary key and foreign key. So I will give a detailed explanation of what is primary key and what is foreign key and how you can use them in the database table, and we will give a specific example of primary key and foreign key. So let's move forward with the discussion. Now, what is primary key? A primary key is a single field or combination of fields that uniquely defines a record. And if you take a look here in this residence info table, we have three records. We have the three residents in this table, and each of the residents has a unique social security number. So they have unique social security number, and this social security number is, we are considering this social security number to be primary key, because the people can have same name but they cannot have a same social security number. So if you, let's say, in a apartment complex, if you search by name Donald, probably you will get a couple of Donald, but if you search by their social security number, you will get a specific person. So that's why we are calling social security number as a primary key. So primary key is a single field, or it can be a combination of field that uniquely identify each record in a table. Now in this table we have three records. You can see there are three residents. And what is foreign key? A foreign key is a foreign key in one table points to a primary key in another table. That means a foreign key in one table must also appear in another table. Now in this table, if you see billing info, we have some invoice long, and then actually I'll have to correct data in this table. So this one will be what is called, let me quickly correct the data here. Now if you take a look here in this billing info table, we have 4 bills, and each of the bill has a invoice long, and then bill amount, and then billed person. Now in the billing info table, we have, can you see, we have each of the bill has a unique invoice long. This invoice long again cannot be duplicate. Now this invoice long will be primary key for this billing info table, and each of the bill is related to a person in the residence info table. Now let's say the first bill, which one has invoice long 1001, is related to person Ramim. So you can see his social security number, and in this bill they have same social security number. And then invoice long 1002 is related to Donald. So this, by seeing the billed person social security number, we can say that this bill is for Donald. And this social security number here in this table has a relation with this billed person, and this billed person actually is pointing a person in the residence info. So foreign key is a key that is pointing a primary key of another table. Okay, and then you can see bill number 1003 and 1004 is for social security 690, that means for Raja. So this 2 bill is for Raja. Okay, so by seeing the social security number or billed person information in billing info table, we can say that this 2 bill is for Raja. Okay, so if you take a look here in a simple example here, you can see that we have pointed this 691. This bill is pointed to Ramim, and then you can see that 692 is pointed to Donald. So in that way, there is a relationship, there is a constraint build up between these two table, and this is what actually foreign key does with another table. And again, now in summary, primary key is a unique identifier that identifies each record in a table, and foreign key is a key. Actually, foreign key is a data in a table that must exist in another table. Okay, so foreign key is actually pointing the primary key of a record in another table. Let's say this foreign key actually is pointing the primary key of this table, and primary key is Romim's SSN here. All right, so let us actually go to SQL and implement these two tables, and then let's see how we can implement this primary key and foreign key relationship by using Oracle command in SQL. So let me start my SQL command line, and the first thing I will do, I will get connect to the default database system manager password, and then I will write a command create table. So the first table is info residence info, and what is the first field is residence SSN, and we know that it will be a, let's say, Butcher 2, and then let's give 11 characters, and then so the first field is residence SSN, and we have given its length 11, and then the next field is residence name, and it will be again Butcher 2, and I'm going to give it as 20 characters, and we have missed some of the information. So what I will do, I will make a mistake here. Okay, so we missed one information here. This residence SSN Butcher 2, it will be a primary key. So we are going to declare this residence SSN as primary key, and then I will go to the next line. Now the next field is residence name Butcher 2, let's give 20 characters, and then the last field is let me so this one is a creatable residence info residence SSN. This is the primary key, and then the next one is residence name, and the last one is apartment name and apartment name. We are going to use number type. You know, the apartment number will be a number field, so I'm going to use number, and then I'm going to give, let's say, the apartment number will be 4 digit long, and then finally we have all the field that we need for the residence info table. So I'll be closing these parentheses, and then You can see that we are trying to make residence SSN as a primary key, and that's how you declare primary key. You have another way to declare primary key by using constraint keyword, but we are trying to make it as simple as possible. Alright, so this table has created, if you take a look here, test residence info. Okay, now you can take a look that it has three field: residence SSN, that is not null because we have declared it as a primary key, and then we have our residence name, and then we have apartment number. I will input data later on, but let's create the other table with foreign key uh, foreign key and primary key. In this table, in the billing info table, we have invoice now, bill amount, and billed person. We have said that invoice now will be primary key, and that billed person will be the foreign key. Let's discuss how we can do that. But let's say what will be the table name: billing info. So let me do create a table called billing info, and then we have invoice long. So let me create invoice now, and let's make it again from budget 2 and 4 character long, and then we want to make this one as a primary key for this billing info table. Now let me go for the next line, and then the next field is bill amount, and then we want to we want to make it, let's say, budget again, budget 2, and we want to give like 6 digit for the bill amount, and then we have what we have billed person. Now again, this one will be budget 2, and then it is 11 character long, and then our goal is to make this field as a foreign key that will be pointing the primary key of residence info table, that will be pointing a data in the residence SSN field in the residence info table. So how you can do that? It's very simple. You mention references. Now we are referring this billed person, okay, to references where it is residence, okay, residence info, and then what is the field? The field is residence SSN. So we are in the references, when we are making foreign key, we are saying references, and then what table? Residence info, and in that table what is the column? Residence SSN. Okay, now let me do this one, and then in the last line we do not need to put a comma. So here I am closing the parenthesis. I have started this parenthesis here, so I am going to close this one, and then at the end I am going to put a semicolon. Now if you do a desk billing info, you will see that we have invoice now as not null primary key, although we cannot see any information about billed person, or we will fill it when we will be inputting the information in these two tables. Now let me input information for residence info table. Now for inserting information, insert into residence info, okay, insert into residence info, Now what is the value that we want to input? First let me put the name of the column where I want to input information, residence SSN, and then we have residence name, and then we have apartment number. Okay, and then let's give the values. Now what are the values? SSN is 205, then 78, and then 5690, and then what is the name? The name is Raza, and then what is the apartment number? We are saying that apartment number is, if you take a look here, apartment number field, we have declared it as a number. So number field, we do not need to put double quotation in number field. Now if you press enter, now see, if you take a look, if you collect all the data, select start from residence info. Okay, you can see that we have make a mistake here. We have this where it should be a dash, we have used equal to, so we will have to update this data. So how we can update this data? Update what is that? Residence info. Okay, update residence info. Set residence SSN equal to, we have only one record, so we are not putting any kind of where statement here. Instead we will be doing it directly. So 5690. So now if you select start from residence info, now you can see that we have right data. Now we will input the other data that we have here. So insert into, and then what is the other? SSN 5691. So let me quickly insert this data 569. Let's say I want to input another name. I already have a record that has an SSN 205785690 in the table, but I want to input another person. Let's say Ramim. I want to input Ramim with the same SSN, and let's see what happens if I want to do that. Now can you see any constraint system is violated? So that means we already have a person called Raza that has SSN 5690 at the end, but when we are trying to input Ramim with the same SSN, then we are having that unique constraint violated message. So what we will have to do, we will have to give a unique constraint here. Now we have Ramim's information, and then let us input the information for Donald. Okay, now if you come here, what is Donald's SSN? It is 5692, and his name is Donald, and his SSN is 100. His apartment number is 102. Now if you do a select start from residence info, you can see that we have all the data that we need in the table. Now let's input the data for billing info table. Now insert into, let's put the right data in the right field first. Now billing info, and what is that? First thing is invoice number, invoice number, and the second field is billed amount, bill amount, okay, and the last field is billed person, billed person, and then let's give the value. Now when you give the value, so the invoice now is 1001, and then what is the name? Let's say what is the billed amount? It is 45 50, and then what is the billed person SSN? So billed person, now billed person, what is that? What is the data for billed person? It is 205, and then 78, and then 5569. Now let me input. We are saying that foreign key, we have declared billed person as a foreign key. Now whatever you are inputting in billed person, you must have to have that data in the residence info table. So whatever you are inputting here in the billed person, this data must have to have in this residence info in the residence SSN column. Now let's say we have billed person SSN 5690, 5691, 5692, but let's try to input 5693. That is not in the residence info table. Okay, now if I execute this one, and you can see integrity violated. Integrity violated. What is that? Integrity parent key not found. That means this is the child key. We are trying to input a child key that should always match with a parent key here, but this 5693 we do not have it here in this residence info table. So that's why it is saying that constraint, we declared it as a foreign key, and it means this one will have to match with a record in the residence info table. So as this is not matching, that's why it is giving us that error message. Now let us move back. Now if you make it 5, what is the it is 5691. If you give it right, and then if you close it, you can see, if you now still, actually let me input all the data. Then what is the next person? His invoice ID is 1002, and then his billed amount is 100, and his SSN is 205, and then 78, and then 5692. Okay, now let me execute it. We have two records. Let me input the other record too. Now the other person is, his invoice ID is 1003, and then he has an amount equal to 50, and then he has social security is 5690. Okay, so let me input the last data, and he has invoice ID 4, and then his amount is 60, and then he has 5690 again. Okay, now if you do see in this table, if you take a look, billing info, a person can has multiple bill. It is normal, right? So but each of the bill will have a different invoice now. Let's say you have a service that you received from the apartment authority in 15th of this month. This one will have a invoice ID, and then if you receive another service on 25th of the month, then it will have another invoice ID. But if you receive the if both of the time, if a single person receives that service, so it is associating to that single person by this SSN number here. Now if you select start from um, billing info, okay, see we have now all the data, and you can see that if we try to input a person's bill, and if that SSN is not in the table, right? So we are trying to input a bill for an SSN that doesn't exist in the residents list. So it is like you are, let's say they have 100 residents, but you are trying to send a bill to someone who actually doesn't exist in that 100 residents. So probably you are, by mistake, you are sending the bill to another person who is not a resident to this apartment complex. So that means as you have created the constraint, you cannot make this mistake, because you have created that foreign key constraint that is making you bound to input a valid data. So that is why people use foreign key, primary key, foreign key concept in the database. So I hope let me quickly try to execute it. You can see that unique constraint violated because that SSN doesn't exist in the primary table. So that is the basic concept of primary key and foreign key. Now if I ask you can you bring inverse norm and bill amount for if I ask you, can you bring inverse norm and bill amount for the SSN ending with 5690? So my question is, bring residence name, apartment number, and then invoice norm and bill amount for the person who has an SSN 5690 at the end. So the question here, let me make a little bit more clear. Let me write a query here. I'll give you more query in the class, but before that let me write a query here. Bring residence name and then apartment number and then invoice norm and then bill amount, okay, for the person whose SSN has 5690 at the end. So this is my question. You will have to write a query. So how will you do that? So I'm going to show you how you can write a query for that. So I'll write a select statement. Select. Now what is the first field that we want to bring? We want to bring the first field that we want to bring. The first field we want to bring, select residence name. Now residence name will be from residence info table. Okay, now let me do ri dot, I'm trying to teach you alias, how to use alias. So I'm making ri dot name, ri dot residence name, okay, and then what is the other thing, apartment number, okay, then ri ri dot apartment number, okay, and then what is the other info, invoice long. So invoice long is from billing info table, so I'm going to give a brief name, bi dot invoice long, and then bi dot bill amount, okay. Now if you take a look, now this data is coming from what table, residence info, and I'm giving a brief name, alias name for this table as ri. And then what is the other table, billing info, and I'm giving a brief name bi. So that's why to write it in brief, I instead of using residence info dot residence name, so this residence name is from residence info, so to make it brief I'm giving ri dot residence name, and this is called aliasing a field. So aliasing, I'm aliasing the table name, if you can see here by this way, okay. I'm just giving residence info, and then I'm giving its alias name that I'll be using, that I already used for making a brief name for that table. Now billing info bi, where bi dot build bi dot build person, bi dot build person equal to ri dot ssn, and that is another condition, and and bi dot ssn like what, like percentage 5690 in the beginning, okay. So if I execute this, it will, I know it will show an error message here, but let me troubleshoot this error here. I have reorganized that query. So what we are trying to bring here using alias, so if you have multiple table where you are executing a query and where you are retrieving data, see, if you need to, let's say if you want to bring data for residence name, then you will have to write it like residence info dot residence name. So instead of writing the whole table name, that is residence info, I am writing ri. Now how I enable that, if you take a look here in the from part, from residence info I alias it by ri. So that is how you can alias a column name or a table name, yeah, that is how you can do that. And then I aliased both residence info and billing info, both table, and then I have used a condition where to bring relationship, I have used a condition residence ri dot residence ssn equal to bi dot bill person. Now this query will bring all of the residence name, apartment number, invoice long, and bill amount. So if I execute this one, you can see that residence name, apartment number, and invoice nom and bill amount. We can see all of the information for all of the four record. You can see that Raja appears, Ramim, and then Raza. Now um, you can see one thing here. We have um, let's do let's do um, let's go for our actual query. So what is our query? Our query is to bring um, the persons who has SSN 5690 at the end, bring all these residents name, apartment number, invoice and bill amount for him. So let me write a query which one will bring that one for us. Now, so this is the data that we are looking for, and then from and alias, we are defining the from and alias here, and then now here is the condition: from ri dot residence SSN equal to bi dot build person. Now let's go for another condition here, and let's say ri dot um, residence SSN like so in the beginning I will have an alias, and then I will have what is the SSN that I am looking for, 5690. Okay, so and then finally I will give a semicolon. Now you can see that the person who has 5690 at the end is Raja, and for Raja I have two billing info, that is we have one invoice 1003, another invoice 1004, and we have received all the data. So the brief was here. We have discussed primary key and foreign key, and then we have discussed how we can alias table name or column name. Alias means like to make the name short in a given query, and then you know, then you use that alias name so that you can save your time, you can make the query simpler. So if you need to use the whole name residence info, the query will be much bigger, and there is more possibility for making mistake. So that is why a lot of time we'll be making aliases. Alright guys, that was it for this tutorial, and actually this part it seems like in the class recording I was not able to record this part, so I think I was able to give a explanation of what is primary key and foreign key in database table, and then we have discussed how to write join query, and then how to write join means how to retrieve data from multiple table, and how to create alias. So please go through this video, and I'll be uploading this video in our YouTube channel and also in our site. At this point I'll wrap up this session or recording tutorial here. Again, thank you for watching this video. I'll see you soon in the class.